For more on this now, let's bring in James Dorsey. He is a senior fellow at Singapore's Middle East Institute. Thank you for being with us on the program. Now, the U.S., as we know, is ramping up its efforts to assist Israel militarily to, according to experts, not only fight Hamas, but also wipe out entire neighborhoods in Gaza. What will the ramifications of this military assistance look like for Palestinians?
Well, Palestinians obviously will not be happy about it and will see this as a reaffirmation of the uncritical Israeli support for, U.S. support for Israel. What I think the arms supply mean are two things. One is obviously its practical and physical support for Israel and helping Israel restock some of its now somewhat depleted stocks. But on the other hand, I think one's got to look at a pattern in the way that U.S. President Joe Biden has approached Israel since he came to office. He initially basically did not invite Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House. When he first met Benjamin Netanyahu, it was at the UN, on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. If you look at his statements at the time of the meeting at the United Nations and yesterday's statement, the criticism or the warnings are very subtle. So yesterday, Biden spoke about adhering to the law of warfare. The problem is that those subtleties may be lost on Benjamin Netanyahu.
How far do you think the U.S. is willing to go to assist Israel?
I think it will go quite far. I think keep in mind also that this is gearing up towards an election year in the United States. And Israel is one of those few countries that has real mass grassroots support in the United States. Now, that may be waning somewhat, but nonetheless, we're talking about a very large community, and it's a large community of voters.
We do know that the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is currently on his way to the region to reaffirm his support to Israel. Do you think that he will meet with Mahmoud Abbas while he's there, given that they do stand by the two-state solution?
One would hope that he does. It would send a very bad message if he does not. I think fundamentally in the U.S. Dealing with this conflict, the question is when the United States is going to start counseling for restraint. Obviously, they've been willing to give Israel some leeway, but there's going to be a point where the pictures coming out of Gaza are going to start to influence what the United States says publicly.
James Dorsey, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour. It's always a pleasure speaking to you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.